Well, what if so many musicians do that other stuff that it takes over and becomes more important than the music? And sure enough, after Franz Liszt, the other stuff crept in. Musicians who put on a visual show got rewarded. More listeners, more fame, more money, but the music became a smaller and smaller part of the equation.
So here's okay. I'm sorry I did skip his history lesson on Listomania and stuff like that. There are things here that I do see his point because, yeah, like I said, you have those within the audience. They care more about the visual, and when it comes to these personalities who act in a way that makes them larger than life, we see this all over, be it live performances and even online with VTubers and other such livers. Sometimes it isn't the music or the visuals, it's the personality. So you got some people who care about the visuals and the personality. And in a sense, that is both a good thing and a bad thing when it comes to the personality because a lot of musicians do incorporate their personality into the music, which enriches the music even more. And at the same time, you can listen to the music without having to pay attention to who the musician is to get a good feel of it. I probably should have included a fifth song about that, but uh, whatever, it is what it is. But I'm sure anyone can think of any song where the artist just gets very personal with the lyrics because there are a lot out there. But yeah, you have people who tune in because of the visuals, the spectacle, and stuff like that. You have people who tune in because of the personality. But again, like I said, you still have that part of the audience who actually has a respect for the music, a love for the craft and the expression and stuff like that. So it isn't so much that music is a lesser part of the equation, but more so that not as many people pay attention to it, which is a very depressing thing to really think about. But that's how it is.
Well, fast forward almost 200 years, now the music is pre recorded, there's smoke everywhere, and a giant video screen above the band. It's like being inside a music video. In reality, the music video is on tour and the band just goes with it. Rather than the visuals serving the music becomes just the soundtrack and serves all the visuals. In fact, we can even remove the musicians entirely. No actual live music has to be made.
And this is why I decided that when with my playlist, the top of it is One Winged Angel, specifically the one performed from Distant Worlds. And yeah, one thing that I did not expect because I basically listened to the digital album for the Distant Worlds performance. But yeah, apparently they do that where you have that video on top, and yeah, they could do all that, just have the recording play. But the thing is that with Distant Worlds, you have a full orchestra that actually plays, and it isn't just listening to the music. You also get to basically when you're in the presence of a band, even when it's whether it's a small band or an orchestra, you can feel the music. You can get more immersed in the music, more so than listening to a recording. Not to mention that whatever orchestra is playing, they always do something a little different with One Winged Angel when it comes to Distant Worlds with each performance. I do notice this with each different live recording that people upload. And it's that unique feel that makes it worth it. Yes, you have the visual, which is the big screen that basically makes it like an AMV or maybe better to compare it to the theaters of the silent films of old when they had a person in the theater playing the piano to go along with the movie. Yeah, there was a time when theaters actually did that. But yeah, for people who want that visual experience, yeah, it satisfies them. But just the same, as I said before, I'm sorry that I'm repeating myself, but there are those who go in there not because of the visual or the screen, but because they genuinely enjoy the music. You know, be them anime fans, gamers, or just people curious about what kind of music is out there, And that's, which is like a big reason why One Winged Angel is one of the ones that I showcased. And if anyone's wondering why the hell Gorillaz is there, Tomorrow Comes Today, basically a lot of VTubers basically have their music videos done much in the same way as a Gorillaz music video. So if you're ever curious about that, that's your answer.
But what happens if you remove the show? Well, let's find out. In 2007, Joshua Bell, one of the greatest violinists in the world, put on a baseball hat and took his multi-million-dollar Stradivarius into a subway station and played by himself for 45 minutes. 1,097 people walked by, and only one person stopped and realized what was happening. Why? Well, I think it's for two important reasons. Number one, no one cares about classical music, so no one even knows who Joshua Bell is. And two, we've been desensitized.
Okay, so on to the first point. I strongly disagree there. I think it's because a lot of people commute through the subways. Either A, they have their headphones in, so whatever music they have is what they're listening to. And B, the majority of people walking there, they're not going to care to begin with. These are not your typical music enjoyer. These are not your typical concert goers and stuff like that. So they are not really going to stop and pay attention, not unless they actually have a love for the music. And even then, this is a place where people go to for commuting. And when people are commuting, unfortunately, they don't always have time to stop. And as much as some people would love to stop to listen to the music, they may be running late for the bus, train, or whatever. So there is the fact that some people may be just too distracted by what they need to do in order to stop and enjoy the music, which is an unfortunate thing. As for the second point, being desensitized, this goes back into what I was saying when it comes to the whole marketing thing. Marketing gets aggressive, especially when it comes to audio use. And that does tend to make things less and less enjoyable. Which again goes back to why I said about Nickelback. Nickelback got a lot of hate, we know that. And the only reason really, when you observe it, is that there was an oversaturation. So with saturation, yeah, we have things like mere exposure effect, but at the same time, people can also be prone to monotony, Too much of something can make it annoying, which is also, again, plays into why I incorporate Tentacruel's videos, because he actually has a great explanation on that when it comes to things like market oversaturation and the negative effects that can have when it comes to the marketing with music, unfortunately. And there is what I have to say in regards to that.
So music by itself is just not interesting enough. Without the right visuals, without the show, even the best musicians in the world will be ignored. Well, Miley Cyrus put on a disguise and did the same thing. But guess what? She drew a huge crowd.
Not because Miley Cyrus is known for spectacle, and the vast majority of people out there are more interested in spectacle than anything else. So whether it's ripping a big fart or dressing in a way that you don't expect people to dress. But at the same time, spectacle can get boring.
Because she's a visual entertainer. So here's what I think went wrong with music. You can think of music as a living creature that needed to find a way to survive. So it has adapted by attaching visuals to itself, kind of like a hermit crab. In a way, you could say music has evolved, but it's through using a crutch. And in the process, it has become something that it wasn't intended to be. It's more like it actually misvolved. So that's where we're at. And what can we do about it? Maybe something drastic. All the musicians could form a union and refuse to use visuals. We could go on strike. But there's only 12 or 13 paying gigs in the world, so most musicians are already technically unemployed.
Yeah, that's a very unfortunate truth. Because I do recall some musicians who they blog about their experiences that I figure would be rolling in the money, but I am surprised to find that they are making half of what I make, which is a very depressing thought. I really do think that there isn't enough appreciation by the majority for the arts, not just visual arts, but also audio arts.
The few who do work in music are still so broke and so desperate for work, they'll be as visual as you want. And as long as the creation of music is filtered through capitalist incentives, that's the way it's going to be. So maybe the change will need to happen on an individual level. So, what can you and I do? First of all, remind yourself that music is music. It's an art form made of sound, and it's not anything else. Don't watch music videos, and close your eyes when listening.
I would disagree because sometimes the only way a musician is able to get their music out is through some sort of visual media, which sucks. And it's great that there are people online willing to upload it, but due to things like copyright and DMCA takedowns and stuff, that stuff tends to not stay up much longer. And I mean, it's sad because there's a lot of people who even do covers and fantastic covers of music that doesn't have a album to go to or anything like that. But even those covers tend to get taken down by major companies, which does make me question of how much these companies actually appreciate the music that they make use of.
Second, if what you do for a living is mostly visual entertainment with some music added in, don't call yourself a musician. Call yourself a visual entertainer.
And it's going to be where I end it. I strongly disagree with saying that these media entertainers can't be called musicians because many of them do actually practice the craft of music, you know. They practice, they work hard on it. Yes, there is a visual element when it comes to a lot of these artists. Not just the VTubers, but also people who like to get into a costume and stuff like that or make music videos. You know, you got a lot of these people put a lot more effort than big names with a mixer, you know. Not to insult those who use mixers because there are some people who are very talented and then you have those who just take a sound bite and just increase the speed or whatever. But yeah, there are a lot of people who use a visual to basically help with the performance to to draw in the attention of those who don't pay as much attention to the music, which is an unfortunate thing. But at the same time, we cannot be going about saying that those people are not musicians. They are musicians in addition to being media artists. That is basically my argument there. There is so much more I can say, but like I said, that would just be a redundancy. I'm trying to avoid doing that because then this video would go on for hours. But with that said, I am Neck Over Million, and I thank you for watching. And if you're wondering why I'm stopping here, it's because I have nothing else to really add. Like I said, my playlist does end with Carl's video, so you could go check it out there to see everything that he has to say when it comes to this. Because, like I said, I do agree with a lot of what he says, but I also disagree. And I do think a lot of this comes down to the fact that the majority of the people just don't have as strong an appreciation. Coupled with a point I made in a previous video, which is that unfortunately music is also turning into a niche entertainment and niche hobby, which is also a depressing thing because there's just so many people that I believe deserve recognition and deserve at least a chance to be heard. Thank you for watching.